Hello, I am getting set up here. Oh man, today was such a doozy. I'm not sure what happened in your part of the world, but in my part of the world, we literally had a power outage because we had rain. I live in the Bay Area and it's been raining quite a lot lately. So we had a power outage in the morning, of April Fools, and then my daughter wasn't feeling well. So um, it's just been a very energetically demanding day. Nonetheless, we are here. And today is April 1st. So we have 3 more days before the bonuses that you can get while working with me are no longer available. So bonuses to work with me include getting 3 extra calls to work with me for $1,500, the valued at $1,500. You also get to give one of those calls to a friend, and you get access to my time collapsing module. So make sure you get access to those bonuses by clicking on the application link that will be in the comments, so you can apply to work with me one-on-one. And we're going to talk about something that happened 4 years ago to me, and how this applies to you and how you make decisions, and how sometimes your fear of being seen can alter those decisions. So it was around 4 years ago, literally around this time point, 4 years ago in 2021, that my life started a slew of events that forever changed my life. I was told to take the vaccine. Radiance, take the vaccine. Make sure you take it because it's going to change your life. It's going to make things better. It's going to make sure that you are safe when you're going out. It's going to make your kids safe. We were just drilled with that narrative back to back with the commercials and with the news. It was just very clear that they wanted us to take the vaccine. And of course, my family was really about it too. So, I wanted to be the good girl, and I wanted to do what I was told, and I didn't want to be problematic. And I thought, this is what I should do. So even though my intuition was telling me not to take it, even though my spirit guides told me, do not take this thing, even though in that moment in the chair, I felt like I shouldn't have taken it, I did. And I denied the stress and tense tightness that I felt in my body. I denied my gut feelings. I denied everything that told me not to do this because I didn't want to be seen as an anti-vaxxer, right? I didn't want to be seen as defiant. I didn't want to go against the grain. And in doing that and overriding my intuition with logic and with rationale, I took the vax anyway. And in less than 2 weeks after taking that vaccine, I started to see and feel symptoms. It literally felt like, I told myself, it feels like an elephant's foot is on my chest. And I couldn't breathe. Like I said, my face was swollen beyond recognition. My hands, my feet were swollen. There was a rash that covered like 90% of my body beyond, just my face. Everything else was covered in a rash. And they had to, I had to go to the ER at some point because I was like, I can't go on like this. So they gave me prednisone to like open up my lungs because I couldn't breathe. And then I stopped doing what they told me to do, to be honest, because they were telling me to take another steroid that would potentially make me more swollen. And I'm like, this makes no sense. So I just started to do my own energetic exercises. And I'm not in any way telling you not to listen to medicine or to listen to doctors. I'm telling you what worked for me. That being said, I literally denied myself of what I needed in order to placate to the emotions of others. And I know many of you have done this too, where you put other people's thoughts and feelings on a pedestal above how you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself. And in me doing that, my business floundered, because of all the health issues and, the internal warfare that I started to have because of literally life changing in an instant. And, my life took a tumble. I lost the apartment that I was able to easily afford within a year. Um, and, I told my kids, okay, we're just going to go on a vacation. I tried to like sugarcoat it because they're my kids. I don't want to tell them that we don't have a place to live. So we started to like hopscotch between hotels, went down to San Diego. And then, at some point I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is just, it's not going to work. So I went to go live with my grandmother. And then a year, within like 8 months, I found a job. And while I was thankful for that job, I think you've seen me post about how thankful I was for some time. Um, I've come to the point where I realized that it's just not a fit for me and my lifestyle, and the fact that I do want to be very present for my kids and take care of myself, like the work life balance of physically going to a job while having children as a single parent is very much demanding. So I've come to the realization that it's not for me. And while, obviously still going to work and being thankful for the fact that I have a job, because I do know that other people don't have that right now. However, I also have to speak to the fact that we can have duality and know that something isn't for us while also being thankful for the fact that we have it. That being said, I went through a dark night of the soul. I went through that, and I am finally on the other side where I'm realizing I'm in this like phoenix moment where I'm rising out of all of the mulch and mush and just crap of the last 4 years. And I know I'm, just not the same person. I'm forever transformed. I'm forever different. I'm forever not that person that used to placate to others' emotions in order to be liked or in order to be seen as the good girl. And, for a time I've wondered, if I had not taken that shot, would life be different now? And, to be honest, now that I look back, I don't think that life would have been different. I actually feel like I would have made some sort of choice that led me to where I am now. Um, Overall, it really comes down to not allowing your confidence to be outsourced to the validation that you receive from others, and not allowing self doubt and overthinking to go against your intuition, and not allowing um, yourself to feel like everything's hopeless if you don't go along with what everybody else is doing. Like, the world's not going to collapse on you if you decide that you're not going to do something that the status quo is doing. So, in so many words, the universe has beat the people pleasing out of me, with love in the last 4 years. And I'm wondering too, how many times you've wished that you followed your intuition, how many times you've wished that you trusted yourself, how many times you've wished that you've made a decision for you and you outsourced your value, you outsourced how you felt about yourself, you outsourced your decision and your ability to make a decision onto others. And it was because of how you thought you'd be perceived, or what people would think about you, or who would still be around if you made a certain decision that was different from their perspective. And how much have you lost because of that? How much time did you lose? How many opportunities did you lose? How much of your own energy did you pour into something that was not reciprocal? And it doesn't have to be reciprocal in physical items. It could just be reciprocal in the love that you get, the appreciation or the time that you spend, that it was well spent. It just was basically non-reciprocal in any way, shape, or form. Right? So how many times have you said no to something or said no to yourself because of putting others' thoughts and feelings above how you felt about yourself, or wondering how you'll be perceived, or wondering if you're worthy of receiving attention and notoriety, And all that time that you spent in the second guessing and the doubting and the questioning and the let me ask for permission first, or let me just seek that person's advice first. And this doesn't mean that you can't seek advice, but if you're always seeking advice before taking an action or making a decision, then that comes back to you not trusting yourself. And that energy that you could have poured into that project, into that book, into that service, into that product, where has it gone? It's just been stagnant. And perhaps you've even delayed a launch because you based your permanent decision on creating a launch and following through on that launch on perhaps the thoughts and decisions that you asked from someone, and that person was just a temporary person in your life, right? You're basing your permanent life decisions on some temporary person's judgments. And then realized I should have trusted myself first. I should have trusted me first. And then when that happens, you beat yourself up for not listening to your intuition. You wake up and it's a month, it's a few months, it's a year, maybe a few years from that moment where you could have trusted yourself to make a decision and taken an action, and it didn't happen. And you're like, where'd the time go? And then you're telling yourself, oh, time is just moving really fast, which it is, absolutely. However, time could have moved with you if you decided to move with it by taking action on your decisions and trusting yourself to do the uncomfortable thing. And I just want you to realize that many of the missed opportunities come back to you not trusting yourself to do the thing, even though it may not be the popular thing to do or may not be the popular thing to say. And what's worse is I know many of you are heart-centered people that have a lot of gifts, a lot of love to give to the world. Perhaps you are a leader in your own right when it comes to your business. Perhaps you're a leader in your community. Perhaps you have a purpose here and you have something to do. You have a gift to bring to the world. And yet you'll see other people less talented, less driven, less connected to their craft as you, but they're taking action, right? They're taking action and doing what you should do, which is trusting yourself, but they're actually doing it while you're sitting on the fence. And they're doing it while you're watching. You're seeing them have these successful launches with completely messy action, right? While you've been straddling the fence. And it can create some feelings of comparison, right? And I know that that's uncomfortable sometimes to even admit to ourselves, that we start to compare ourselves to others and we start to see where others are in their lives. And we're like, okay, well, what's going on with mine? Why am I not moving as fast, right? And then we start telling ourselves that perhaps something's wrong with us, or sometimes we have a little bit of jealousy and it gets uncomfortable. And when we dig under the layers of the comparisonitis, under the jealousy, under the why am I not where I want to be yet, we realize it was because we didn't trust ourselves. And I also want to say that jealousy is not a bad emotion. It gets a bad rep, but it's not a bad emotion. It's an emotion that allows us to say, where do I feel like I'm not enough? It's an invitation to go deeper within ourselves and not necessarily make ourselves feel wrong for having that emotion. So long as it's not active jealousy, where we're actively trying to hurt someone else because of our perceived lack in ourselves. That there's a difference. Inactive jealousy is okay because it's an invitation to say, where am I feeling like I'm not enough? Active jealousy, where we're intentionally hurting somebody else, that's a different story. So all of that to say, if you found a way to take a leap and stop wasting time, where you actually trusted in the nudges that you're getting from your soul, from the universe, from source God, right? If you actually said, I'm going to take that action. I'm going to make a decision. And even though it feels messy, even though it doesn't look perfect, even though I don't have all the ins and outs of how it's all going to be put together, you don't have all the puzzle pieces yet, you're still going to trust that you have all the puzzle pieces available to you, and that you'll have the tools arise as you need them to put all the puzzle pieces together. And I want you to know that I've been exactly where you are, which is why I wanted to tell you that story about my decision with a vaccine that didn't go well. And I'm actually not an anti-vaxxer. I believe in the power of vaccines, but I also believe that there's things that are simply not for us. And we have to have that discernment to honor that. And in me realizing, that I made a decision that was based off of what other people wanted for me and not based off a decision that I made for me. And I'm sure you've been there too. I've done the journaling. I'm sure you do that too, where you just like brain dump everything and you're like, okay, I'm just going to just write it all out. I'm just going to like empty out all my thoughts and feelings and like purge everything. And it's going to make me feel better. And then I'm going to spring into action. I'm going to finally do the thing. We tell ourselves that. And we'll start to just journal our mind drama, and we're starting, we're thinking we're doing something, and we are doing something in that moment. And yes, it feels good to clear space in your brain by, writing out your to-do list, and you're telling yourself, okay, I feel clearer now. And there's an excitement that comes from that too, right? Where we're like, I got my pretty journal, excuse me, not my pesky journal, my pretty journal. I have a few pretty journals myself from Target, okay? But we do it and we're thinking, okay, yeah, I got this. I got it all out. I wrote it all out. And then after the relief that we feel, there's that creeping back anxiety, the heaviness that just starts to envelop us. And we're like, where did this tightness and tension come from? I thought I felt free. I thought I felt flowy. The words were coming from the pen so easily, right? And then that dump that we thought we purged is right back on our backs, on our shoulders. And that endless to-do list that we felt like we could tackle, we told ourselves, yeah, I got this. It feels like a mountain that we have to climb all over again by ourselves. And it feels like we're collapsing again in our head, in our thoughts. And then you keep journaling, and then you realize, okay, I'm journaling now about the person that pissed me off. I'm journaling now about the person that cut me off during our book club meeting. And why did they cut me off? Like we start to realize that we're rambling just like how we do in our heads in our journaling. And sooner or later, we have to realize that we're just going in circles in our journal, just like we go in our circles in our head. And this happens because we're not asking ourselves the right questions in our journaling. We're not asking ourselves questions that help us uncover why our unconscious is causing us to make decisions that go against what we know we should be doing. And not the shoulds of society, not the shoulds of what our family says we should be doing if it's not in alignment with our soul and with what our heart is calling us to do. Not the shoulds that society says we should have, checked off by, your mid-30s or late 40s, your 50s. Not those shoulds. I'm talking about the soul nudges where you're like, this is something I know I need to be doing. That should. The shit that only you know. And it bottles down to why you allow your fear of being seen to show up. If you don't know how to ask questions that dig into that, then the journaling is just null and void. It's not going to do anything. If you don't know how to understand why your feelings of unworthiness pop up when you're about to do something that you know you should be doing, And you're like, do I even deserve praise? Do I even deserve notoriety? Do I even deserve more money? Do I even deserve to spend time on nurturing myself? Do I even deserve to be seen as an authority figure, or to be seen as someone that is valuable when it comes to your craft, when it comes to the thing that you're putting out to the world? If you don't know how to uncover why you don't feel worthy, why you don't feel worthy of being seen, if you don't know how to uncover why you hesitate on making decisions, why maintaining getting to the next level. So once you've maintained it, but like, excuse me, once you've gotten there, why it's difficult to maintain, why you feel like the other shoe's going to fall off. If you don't know how to uncover and get to the root of those self-sabotaging patterns, then the journaling feels good in the moment, but it's not a long-term solution. And you'll stay in this cycle of playing small, and the feelings that you have may not even belong to you. You've been conditioned to believe that it does, but it may not belong to you. And what's worse is that our rational adult minds will make the mistake of thinking that all of the conditioning of why we hide, why we play small, why we are afraid of being seen for the gifts that we have, why we dim our light, why we don't feel worthy of the attention, praise, and notoriety, why we tell ourselves that we're a fraud. Our rational adult minds will make the mistake of thinking that our conditioning is us, that that belongs to us, that that started with us. And if we go deeper, we know that our unabashed child, the child version of us that didn't have the limitations that we put on ourselves as adults, that didn't identify with needing to check in before we made decisions. You know, how many times as a child did you check in before you said and did what you wanted to do, right? There's no filter. It was ingrained in you to start asking for permission. It was ingrained in you to start seeking advice before trusting yourself. It was ingrained in you to need external validation before validating and trusting yourself. There was no like back and forth with yourself as a kid. There was, I'm doing it. So why do you now have that as an adult? That's what we need to uncover. And that's what we'll be uncovering when you work with me one-on-one. So the application link will be in the comments. Make sure you click on that link, because there will be bonuses that are only available through April 4th. And those bonuses, again, will be the 3 extra calls valued at $1,500. You will also be able to give one of those 3 extra calls to a family, friend, or loved one. And you get access to my time collapsing module as well. So make sure you click on the link and apply today before April 4th. So that being said, you have to understand why your conditioning has created some illusions of safety with actions that go against the decisions that you need to make and the actions that you need to take in order for you to get to your next level faster, and in order for you to know that you are worthy of being seen for your gifts, for your light, and for the services that you are here to bring to help change the world and impact the people that you're meant to serve. So the journaling process has to include why your brain's relationship with safety is holding you back from making the decisions that can help you get to your next level faster, from taking the bigger risks, and from making the quicker decisions, and from taking that aligned action that you know you need to take. And I don't want you to stay stuck in the brain dumping aspects. We need to get into why you're holding yourself back, why you have hesitation when stakes are high. I don't want you to stay in that cycle of emptying the mental trash and wondering why you keep collecting it faster than you're emptying it. Why you've been conditioned to carry a load, yet not have the tools to put that load somewhere where it's not weighing you down. Now, when it comes to conditioning, Wayne Dyer says that we are only conditioned because a part of us wanted or allowed ourselves to be conditioned. That's what he says. So I ask you to ask yourself, what part of you created safety in the conditioning where you hide, in the conditioning where you reject yourself before someone else can reject you, in the conditioning where you put other people's thoughts and feelings on a pedestal above how you think and feel about yourself, the conditioning where you deny your intuition and override your gut feelings with logic and rationale, and then pay for it dearly later. Why you have those elements of your conditioning where you betray yourself and call it safe. And why did you allow your energy to decide that it would rather, why did your energy decide that it would rather resonate with something that goes against your natural soul's essence? Because if your energy is resonating with something that's going against your soul's essence, then really what's happening on an energetic level is this. So your soul's wave, your soul's energetic blueprint is going like this. Let's just call it a small wave. And if we want to compare, you'll see what I'm talking about. A small wave, let's call it a Santa Monica wave, just like a heaping little wave, something that you can get a little bit of a ride on. And your soul's essence is all the good shit. It's all the good things that you see about yourself. It's like the worthiness, it's the confidence, it's the self-assurance, it's the peace. And it's a small wave, small little wave. And then here's like a Hawaii 5-0 wave. And this is all the bad shit that you pay attention to for yourself. All the disappointment, all the rejection, all the past pain, all the muck, like the yuck, right? And that has such a bigger wave than the good stuff. And over time, what happens is those waves collide. You hear like that nudge, that soft whisper to do something, and you're like, okay, I can do it. There's your small wave. But then the big wave comes and said, oh no, you cannot. And then it creates something called destructive interference. And this is where the waves, because they're not of equal frequency, all the bad shit gets all the repetitions, right? All the bad shit is higher in your attention span. You pay attention to it more, so it's actually taller. The waves are taller. They're stronger. And because your soul's wave is so much smaller than all the bad shit that you have going on and all the attention that you give to your bad shit, when those waves collide, what happens is destructive interference causes the waves to cancel out. And that means that you're at a standstill. And you can look this up. It's with physics. It's at a standstill. It's called, you're not displacing the medium. You're not displacing. So that means there's no movement. There's no change. And that's why it can feel like the projects that you've been working on have little progress. That's why it can feel like the world is moving really fast and you're at a standstill in your life at times. And that's not where you want to be. And I don't feel like I'm talking to people that allow themselves to stay stuck. I feel like I'm talking to people who would like to move faster, that don't want those moments of standstill to last for longer than they need to. You need some tools, that can help you start displacing and moving that soul wave a little bit faster. You want some strength in that wave. You want some more height, some more girth. You want some, you know, what was the guy in Friday? The big Friday, Debo. You want some Debo in that way, right before he got knocked out, though. You don't want him to be knocked out by Nia Long, of all people. Right? So you need that. You need some umph in the good shit. You know, be able to pay more attention to the good shit, where you exude more confidence, where you have more self assurance, where you feel more optimistic about the fact that you can move that wave along and not be at a standstill. Oh, I'm on the live, baby. Okay. And this is where, when you know how to do this, when you work with me one on one, and you know how to get out of that in between world where you're like in the unknown and you're wanting to move faster, and you want to learn how to get to the root of why you magnify all the bad shit, I'll show you how to maintain the peace, how to maintain assurance, and how to maintain optimism, even when you don't know how everything is going to come together. Because what you don't want to do is allow your overthinking brain to halt your decisions. And I'm saying this as someone that has been there. I've been through some shit. I'm telling you what I have. I think if you've watched some of my social media, you'll see that I have, right? But I'm not where I was. Absolutely not. Like those 4 years ago where we were going through some things, our lives have completely turned around. My kids go to great schools. I live in a good community, a safe community. Um, I have what would appear to be a good job at a top company. And I thankfully have the means to build a business and the determination to. And that wasn't something that was available to me 4 years ago. And I'm telling you this because changing your life won't happen overnight. However, one day you'll look up and you'll be like, wow, I actually did that shit. I did the hard things. I did the uncomfortable things. I did the inner work. My life would not have changed. Me and my kids' life would not have changed had I not continued to do the inner work, to do the healing, to believe, and not even just believe, but to know that it was available. My life that I wanted to create was available to me, and I manifested the place that I wanted, a job, and I did. Like I literally did. So when I tell you things, it's not because I'm telling you from a place of not having experience and having just read the books and having the practical knowledge. I have the practical application of that knowledge as well. So work with me one on one. And it's time for your business ideas to be seen. It's time for your launches to be moved through. It's time for those people to see you as someone that's worthy. And they will when you see yourself as worthy of being seen. Like they go hand in hand. It's time for you to increase your attention on how you've overcame the hard things. How you can exude confidence in your body instead of carrying a load that may not even belong to you. And being able to take aligned action and make quicker decisions without allowing yourself to stay in your head wondering the what ifs and going down the rabbit hole of all the things that could potentially happen that go against what you want to happen. We don't need to do that. You don't have to apply Murphy's Law to everything. You don't. Because I think in Interstellar, he says that Murphy's Law is actually all the possibilities of what could happen, not just the bad things. It's all the possibilities. And instead of looking at all the possibilities of the bad things, remember making the Hawaii 5-0 wave. Let's make your attention on all the good things that could possibly happen. Creating relaxation and joy and certainty in your body and in your decisions and in your actions. where you're not looking at your life from a past lens of all the bad things and all the past pain. I know it's hard, but you can shift that. And if you can shift it long enough, you'd be pleasantly surprised by what the universe brings into your life. So let's do the healing, let's do the work, let's do the inner work, and let's magnify all the good things and all the good possibilities that can happen in your life when you make quicker decisions and when you take aligned action and trust yourself more deeply. So reach out to work with me one on one. Again, the application link will be in the comments, and I look forward to reading your applications, and I send you so much love.